We are back with another segment here of we can just say soul connections. I like that.
I
It's
like that too, because that's what it is. We're all
yeah,
souls.
we
We all
really
have
are.
red blood.
We do allegedly. Some people,
But
some people I believe are aliens that are on this earth, but that's another story for another
what
day.
color is their blood? Do they have blood?
I don't think they have blood.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's metallic. Who knows? Let's not go there.
Let's
But
not
they
go
got
there.
big eyes.
Yes, yes. The mothership will be here this year, but we'll leave that alone for
It
now.
may already be here.
Well, yeah, that part. So today, people, we just wanted to come and actually talk about harassment and jealousy and bullying and the spiritual connection behind it, because a lot of people say crazy things out of their mouth, but we know it's anger or it's hurt or
Jealousy.
sometimes it's shit from the past life. Sometimes people have entities attached to them that are
Mm-hmm.
talking for them. See, I know a little something.
Yeah,
So
but you've learned too. You've learned to
this,
identify it. You've worked with me, you've worked with others. You have
yeah.
opened up enough so that you now have experienced enough of what I call the schmutz and the strangulation or the snake energy, where they kind of wrap around your solar plexus or your throat chakra and you can't communicate.
Yes.
The
So I
other
got a
had, no,
so,
go
so,
ahead.
so I got a question for you. I'm working on like transforming my content, going a different direction. I have a theory that when I leave the mess alone, like talking about celebrity gossip and all that, I think my personal life will clear up as well. What do you think?
In some respects, I agree with you, but then whoever your followers are going to find something else to pick on. That's part of the game. Okay. So
Oh,
even
okay.
though you're cleaning it up, right now you're in kind of the trenches of celebrity gossip and all the dirt, but you've been doing it for so long, you're burning out. And the beautiful part about you wanting to shift gears or go into another direction is you don't have to stay with the same old, like most people are afraid to change and get out and expand outside the box. We're in a box right here with the frame of the way the show is with the
Yes.
internet thing, the StreamYard. But a lot of people won't get outside the box, their comfort zone. But you are willing to take a chance. You're the true entrepreneur. You don't sit still. You've always got thinking going on in your brain or what the next step is or what you're going to create while you're still doing what you do best, which is your celebrity gossip. But after a while, I mean, how many times can you talk about
Who's
TNA and
sleeping
who's
with
sleeping?
who,
Thank you.
and who had a baby with who, and
Yeah,
oh
I
my
mean, after a
god,
while,
Chloe, Tristan is cheating on her again, and she's gonna have
gee,
and she's building a house next to Chris Jenner, and who cares? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I mean, after a while, does it really matter?
It
You know,
doesn't.
you
And
know
to
what
be
I?
honest, to be honest with you, I already see the tide shifting. People don't really care about celebrities anymore. Now they want
It's
to know the real.
changing. It's changing because
Yeah.
people are becoming more spiritual. Now, if you backtrack
Yes.
to the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I coined the term hallway of transformation. Most people didn't hear about it. Most people didn't listen to me. My own platform wasn't as big as it once was, although it's coming back. But there's articles, and I wrote that we were going to be going through the shift while the pandemic was out there and we were housebound. We had choices. And you and I know some people got into domestic violence, more alcoholism, suicide went up, overeating went up, drug abuse went up. They kept the pot stores open and the liquor stores open while they closed restaurants. I mean, it was imbalance. It was almost like saying, go get loaded and die or
Yep.
get sick and be self-destructive versus have a nice life and keep going. Well, we're 3 years past the worst, or we're now into a whole new dimension because we've all changed, right? And after a while, people are now seeing that fake boobs and silicone asses and real cinched waists, yeah, it's great to look at, but you're still a soul on the inside. You still have emotions. You can have your face done, you could
Mm-hmm.
have your body done and be odd, meaning AW, people eyeing you like, look how gorgeous they are.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But after a while, it's like they still have either mothers or fathers or kids or birds or dogs and cats and tummy aches and toothaches and cancer, and life goes on. They may make $50 million a year, and they don't have to worry as much with their bills. Although there's people at the top with millions that still go bankrupt.
That
They
still go bankrupt. Yes, and
spend it.
because people also have to understand that money is energy. So just like it comes in, it goes out.
It goes out. You hear about this a lot.
Yes, and new levels, new devils. Like one thing about it,
yeah.
One thing about it, people online, people that have never done anything with their life, and yes, I'm calling you out. You know who you are. Love to say things like, "Oh my God, you're gonna go broke, and you're gonna be this, and you're gonna be that." But no matter, it doesn't matter if you work at McDonald's or if you are the CEO of Pfizer. The
You're
money,
still human.
The money's just money.
But it's the greed and the power that people want that make it look like it's even more. But then you don't know who's dealing with what addiction or what disease or what their mother, their father, or pressure, or you got to keep up with the Joneses or the Kardashians or whatever. I just read about Kim's favorite salad from this restaurant that's in Beverly Hills called La Scala. Okay, and I know everybody loves their salad because it's turkey and pepperoncinis and lettuce, and they've been doing it for over 50, 60 years, but they made it sound like the Kardashians discovered it. My father proposed to my mother there in 1950. It was their restaurant. Wow. Okay, so I'm reading this like, wow, look at this salad. Yeah, I've had the salad 1,000 times. There's a knockoff restaurant from one of the old chefs that opened up a place in the valley where I live in the San Fernando Valley. Then there's a takeout La Scala, but it's not new. It's just that they got new publicity. It's always been a celebrity hangout. It's the 50s, the royalty of Hollywood. In the old days of classy people, what we knew as class and nicer clothes and different styles and attitudes. It's not a new restaurant, but I was just reading the other day, because Kim loves this salad. I'm like, so did my mom and dad. My mother loved it till the day she died 14 years ago, And it's just publicity. It's just talk. And sometimes I want to be a part of it. And then I realize I've been a part of some of it on a different level. And I still go home. People think it's different. But what's bothering me is what's happening to you. Because okay, no, people, I'm not sleeping with Storm. He lives in Atlanta. I'm in Los Angeles. We do get together every quarter, every couple of months. He comes out. We're friends, but we talk, and we do have a friendship of trust. And I know certain things. And because he does my candles, the Wicks of Wisdom, which right now are 15% off because the new website was finally launched at lindasalvin.com, I have to understand or assess who you are, what you're going through to offer the right solution for the problem. Now, without even getting into candles, talking to Storm, I can tell in his voice what's wrong because I read voices.
Right.
So I found out the other day somebody had been stalking him, talking to you, but them, the audience, and somebody was outside your apartment. They took a stock photo. You were on your phone, you were wearing a plaid jacket, and oh my God, it had yellow in it. So somebody assumed you were color-coded to the code of the parking pole, where you don't hit it if you're drunk, so you can hit your fender. But I mean, how stupid. So somebody's stalking Storm. Then they go online and they bash him. And I'm not a huge YouTuber because I come from a whole different generation. Even though I've built my YouTube channel, I'm starting to gain momentum. It's a lot of work. It's not like, hey, I'm here. It doesn't work that way. And I'm not talking shit all the time. And I'm not putting people down all the time. And I'm not tearing up the channels. But in your generation and some of what you do, it's the competition. And that's what these show hosts do. But some of them have fallen. Some of them are going broke. Some of them are losing their show. And a lot of these people who are having a hard time are taking it out on you, on their channel. They're bashing you, Storm, because they're jealous of you. Cream rises to the top. But these people who are saying such negative crap, and I read some of the thread, and I see it against me, I see it against you, but when it's you on their channels, that has nothing to do with anything I've seen you do, but they have you as the totem. You're the it man, okay? You're the punching bag. So let's go rip them apart.
Yeah, exactly.
good about them that isn't even true because half of it's not even factual.
And let's just talk about this. I'm still trying to like get used to this part. What is the obsession about who I have sex with, right? Like they're so like since I've been on the internet, the first thing people said, because I started the internet stuff when I was 26. First thing they said, he's not 26, he's 36. He's not straight. He has a 6 foot tall, bald headed boyfriend in Atlanta. What? My thing was, if I do have a 6 foot tall, bald headed boyfriend, an older man, right? First off, he's going to be paying my bills. I'm not going to be.
You'll be a kept guy, yeah.
Right. I'm sitting here doing videos and I'm delivering Amazon, but I have a 6 foot tall, bald headed older man. I was just like, oh, like y'all. And then now they're saying that I'm sleeping with the bishop in a parking garage, and then some people were like, they were looking at the pictures like, well, maybe Storm was just buying weed, and then somebody was like, well, it looks like he was getting weed and some dick, and this is like, oh god.
They have vivid imaginations. It's because they're smoking so much weed. Their brain is on override, right? And yes. I know if you want to get loaded for a little bit and calm down some of the anxiety, fine. Pot's legal today. When I grew up, we got busted for pot. It's a whole different generation. It's a different level of THC, but they know nothing. Just like whatever they thought you were wearing yellow for that day on a coat, and someone took a candid shot that you were being followed and you got a copy of it. But what bothers me is some of the grungiest, nastiest, bullyish, that's a word, just negative, cunning and baffling words that you don't deserve. You work hard. Yes, part of the shows are attacking another show host. That's part of the game you guys do. But after a while, it gets old. And after a while,
and defamatory, and defamatory because
by law.
My biggest thing is I can take a lot, drag me, talk about whatever. For me, the biggest thing that was hurtful was trying to imply that I was a pedophile. Now that's
was crossing the line.
Yeah,
and by law they can be sued for slander. They can be sued on other issues. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give legal advice, especially online. But I know that you have an internet attorney on your side should it get to the point that they've really pushed that button a little too hard and it came out too red and it's exploding. Now, some of the people that have really thrown dynamite up your ass, to be blunt, are getting it up theirs now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what goes around comes around. There is a thing such as karma. Now, whether it's competition from past lives in the 1600s and here we are in 2023, or if it's somebody you owe an amends to from like the 1920s, who knows where it all comes from. But these attacks and these people who think they're literally God sent and the gods of YouTube, they thrive on this. And the people, I can't wait to watch the comments come out on the chat with what we're talking about here. But a lot of them have nothing better to do than to be negative or to write crap or to insult. Like I did a show yesterday, and some girl in the chat called me a spiritual whore or a spiritual. Yeah, I blocked her. I don't know how to unblock the chat. You can help me understand that. I was like a spiritual. It was similar to whore. I can't remember the actual, but a spiritual. Not a madam, but I think it's like a spiritual whore. I'm like, excuse me? And she had never heard anything about the plane crash, and she wanted to know. I said, it's on my website. Well, I can't get your website. I said, well, it's being migrated. It'll be there tomorrow. But all of a sudden, I was being like bullied on the show while talking to a man in Florida who's been a customer of mine. He's 74 years old, and he loves my work, and he came on. He's a businessman, and he has his own way of jovial personalities, and he heals people that come into his showroom. Very successful guy, looking for love still, in new love. But to be heckled in the chat as a spiritual whore or whatever, it was along those lines. I just blocked her. Like, what do you have to do that for? Does it make you, whoever it is that has to heckle or put out negativity or abuse, that much more powerful?
Right.
There are times I have been bitchy or angry Or, okay, I've had enough of your BS, and I'll slam it in an email or on a phone call. Yes, I'll call you. Yes, I'll call you. Yes, I'll call you. Yes, I'm interested. Yes, I'm interested. And like today, I called someone in Ohio. I said, you're not interested. I said, it takes 2 minutes to say yes or no. You told me to email, but you then had, you were sick, and then a project. It's always an excuse. I said, well, you're not the only one that's been sick or dealing with death or clients and patients and radio and TV and employees. Why does it seem that everybody is the busy one when we all are busy?
Yes.
That you're never too busy to cut someone up, slash them, cause pain, insult, or some type of egotistical, demeaning behavior. It's fun at times, like adrenaline gets going when we want to attack. That's why there's war. There are some people that live for that passion of killing somebody or
True.
bombing a place, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing in the chat. It has gotten viral, and then people wonder what's going on in the world today. Now, you and I know we did a show on some of the truthful aspects of what's going on in the world, and we are so good, we got censored. We got censored, folks. The last show, you guys were great. We had 120 some odd comments, but we got taken off. But there wouldn't be so much chaos in the world if a lot of this nasty, let's go, bring them down, bully, whatever, attitude wasn't as rampant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was bullied in grammar school and all through junior high for being the chubby little kid with a pretty face. And it was horrible. And I grew up in LA, and everybody had to be like Twiggy back then. It was like a size -10, because nobody was normal. I look back at photos and I go, I just was a normal kid, but we are brainwashed to think there's something wrong.
Yep.
So not only are we already feeling bad about ourselves because of old conditioning or whatever, now we're in the digital world, and it's even easier to throw out more acid and do more wound destruction. Why? So are the people that are just having nothing better to do because they don't have a job, or they like attacking, they just have all this free time to bash people and they get off on it?
It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. And then you start to think, okay, like, what is your end goal? Because it's like, people throw daggers. I can just talk about me, for example. They throw daggers, and then I go, oh, like, you're looking for dirt. And it's like the worst of my dirt, which isn't even dirt.
Why didn't you tell him you got it up the ass with a 10-inch dick and show
just
it
leave it?
Come on.
And listen and just show
guys,
him. Maybe
he's not into guys. I know.
Maybe I should just spread my cheeks and just have a look at my asshole. Since like
that's what they want, Storm.
You guys have already seen the front part, and maybe that's the issue. Maybe I'm getting you too hot. All right.
They've always thought you were hot and sexy. That's Taurus anyway, and mysterious. But they want more. I think they want to touch it. I think I told you when I started working with you the first time a couple of years ago, and my experience, for those that don't know me, I started in radio in 1994 before the internet was even launched in 96. So here I am on national radio, and I would get flowers sent to the station. I would get cards and candy for Valentine's Day. I had one, wouldn't call him a stalker, but he was in love with me. Wow. And he would call the show and he'd ask about his love life, and he'd go to another psychic who said, I wasn't Dr. Linda at the time, but Linda is your soulmate. And I'm like, what? But the bottom line is, no more did he know who I am than the people watching this show know really who you are or I am.
Yes.
Because you're just seeing an image, a voice, and it's entertainment.
It's a character. It's a character. When you meet me in person, I'm chill. I'm like, I don't want to argue. I want to have a good time. I want to have deep conversations. I want to talk about aliens and alternate universes and galaxies. And some people say I'm way too interested in spirituality and I'm weird for that. I don't care.
That's where you're supposed to be going, which is why the planet is shifting, which is the whole way of transformation. You're on top of it. They're the ones that are intimidated by God's spirituality and the movement of opening up, and they're scared of the light. That's why they're still in the darkness of bashing, abusing, self-denial. So they're the ones that, even though they think they're on top of it, they haven't crossed into the light yet.
I
Now,
agree. I agree.
I don't want to be, I'm not promoting anything. I'm not getting paid for this, but I just watched all, 11 episodes of Daisy and the Six, and I couldn't stop watching it. Fabulous production.
Oh wow.
Elvis Presley's granddaughter, Riley, is in it as the lead singer. It is a phenomenal love story, and it's rock and roll, and it's the rise to fame and drug, sex, rock and roll. It's all of it, but it was brilliant. But I'm watching and I'm so involved with these characters. I want more. Then I step back and I think, okay, wow, she's Presley's granddaughter. She has a daughter. Her mother just died, right? Lisa Marie just died, and yet she's got this.
Well, one of them.
One of them. We don't know which is the real one. We can't go to that one right now. But
yeah.
There's more than one Elvis. There were triplets. You know that whole story. Yeah, there were triplets and another brother. So
remind me to come back to that when you. Yeah, come back to it.
Yeah. We got a whole another show on that. But I'm watching this episode. Whoever the writers were, they were brilliant. The direction was gorgeous. And I thought, well, I want to be a part of that. Or why didn't I do that in my 20s? And how come I didn't live that way? And I didn't do the dream. I thought, whoa. My life turned out the way my life is. I'm watching a show, but it did its job. It roped me in. That's a good movie. That's why they win awards. That's good radio. That's why there's awards. That's why there's Grammys, because the music wraps you up. You know, all the people that were nominated this year, and then the best song went to Bonnie Raitt because it really came from the heart. And people go, well, who's Bonnie Raitt? Well, I grew up with Bonnie Raitt. Your generation did not. But there are talents out there that aren't just of the last 15 years. I mean,
because that was the real talent. Let's be honest. In this industry, the real talented people, they're like, they work at a supermarket.
Well, just like the classiness of the old Hollywood.
It's gone.
You've seen it. You've been out here. You've been to the parties. But the elegance and the glamour isn't there anymore. No, it's just
it's not the same. And don't get me wrong, the social media stars, we are the new celebrities, so to speak,
right?
Because honestly, and this is being real, when you go to like TMZ and people in Us Weekly, a lot of times they're talking about influencers.
Yeah. And that's a new term that I didn't grow up with. Yeah, and they're making $4, $5, $8 million just promoting something. And
just to hold a toy. I like this toy.
I don't understand how it works. I don't know that I want to get on that wheel. But do they have the bashers? I'm sure somebody must be bashing. Oh, her hair is the wrong color, or her top's too low, or did you see her promoting that? And why is he doing this? There's always going to be the black and white, the yin, the yang, the negative, and the positive. That's just life. But people who love you, let's get back to you as opposed to what we can talk about out there. Some of what I've read, some of what I've heard, some of what I've seen between you and me off the air is disgusting. It's demeaning. I know how I used to run home and cry after being bullied. And I got to have closure with one girl at my 50th reunion last year. She said, hi, how are you? I said, I've carried something since we were kids. I'm going to let you know this. And I let her know how she bullied me from, I don't know, 4th grade to 9th grade, maybe. And I said, you were a real bitch, because we would be 20 feet apart walking home from school, and she'd be with 2 girls. She goes, look at her fat ass. Look how fat she is. She can't even walk fast. I mean, it went on and on and on.
Oh, my God.
For years. So I got to, she says, well, I'm really sorry. She goes, I don't remember that. I said, you don't. And I mean, I just couldn't believe she didn't remember. And at the same time, a girl that bullied me, who I had forgotten about, called me a year ago next month. It was May. She called to apologize. She grew up around the block. We were Girl Scouts together. And she called. She had pancreatic cancer, Storm. She was given till August to live last year. And she called to apologize for hurting me as a child. She remembered bullying me for my weight and my intelligence, because I was one of the smarter kids. And she would always put me down till one day she said, and I didn't remember this, that my mom had yelled at her on her front lawn. We were playing croquet. That's a game that kids used to play on the lawn.
Okay.
With a hammer or a thing, and we hit the ball. But they don't do that anymore because we're online. She called to apologize. She says, Linda, I've only got a few months to live. I got pancreatic cancer. I don't know if I'll make it to 69. I said, Annie, I know why you're doing this. You want to be clear and have a conscience clear before you go to God. So I called her and I talked to her twice before she passed away, and she did die. But
Wow.
that's the amends where people apologize for hurting another human. She said no one else throughout her life, 68 years, did she remember hurting as much as she hurt me. So I identify when I see what they do to rip you off. They think it's fun. They think it's funny. I can tell you there are times Storm will come to me and say, well, this one really got under my skin. This one really hurt. And I know what that feels like. I've had it on radio. I've had it online. I've had it in person. But for what? When we were kids, okay, it's hard growing up. But as adults, these people haven't grown up. And then you wonder why there's imbalance in the world.
That's true. And for me, it's like, okay, you can have whatever opinion you want, right? But then it goes to like they try to ruin your life. It is just like
or demean your career or whatever.
Yeah.
They just don't stop. They have to keep digging and digging
and digging.
But then you find out about someone that got banned from YouTube or lost their show because of their attitude, or somebody got in an accident, or somebody got shot at, or somebody's in trouble, right? Because they're not good people either. So, but then they turn it around and put it like it's your fault. So if they want to play with you sexually, fine, you're a little sex toy and you're a fantasy for a lot of women out there, probably guys too. Okay. I don't know, binary, straight, whatever's the term.
It's somebody, everything out there. It's somebody, I mean, when I tell you some of their sexual fantasies, they said I've had trains ran on me. He's sleeping with the bishop, and
where did that come from?
They got the picture of the concierge that was handing me a key fob to let me into the garage. This is some random man, and they're just like, oh, this is such and such, and they're sleeping together. I'm just like,
yeah, right. Can you imagine if you were in Hollywood at one of the top restaurants, which I'll go to next time, where all the paparazzi are? If they knew you, then they could have another story. But it's sex sells, stories sell. But the truth is, they don't know you. Just like I was trying to say earlier, this guy that used to send me flowers and chocolates, I had to finally call him and say, you don't know me, you hear the voice. So this was even before video. He just heard radio, voice, in his home, miles and miles away. He would hear me, but he didn't know me. He thought he knew me, but he fell in love with the voice. The imagination took him to being in love with the figure I represented back in the 90s. Yes, I had a life back then. And some of you weren't even born. But I mean, I had to let him know, like, this is not acceptable. I don't care what some psychic said if I'm, whatever. It's not going to happen. I never met him in person. But the obsessions start, the needling. I think people get obsessed with you.
Yes.
I think they find you not just sexy and attractive and funny, but they get, I believe, the people, because I don't know how many, it skews male, female, binary, he, she, they, them, whoever's after you.
It's all the gay guys. It's always the damn gay, the messy, ugly gay guys.
They want to be with you.
And they don't have a chance.
No, because I know you're going to be meeting somebody and getting married in a couple of years, and it's not male. No, I have a lot of gay friends. I know who's married and who's stuck on who. It's not going to happen to Storm Monroe. Sorry. Sorry to disappoint you.
Listen, I don't know about the getting married thing. She's going to have to be really, really special to convince me to do that. But
you're just coming out of your Saturn return this year. You're just about to hit 30. And once you're out of that, the next couple of years are going to be fun. I did grow up in a house with my father, and my dad would fix certain things, but because I was a spoiled Jewish brat, every week they would hire someone to come fix it. Except, here's a story you just remind me. When I was 14 years old, back then we had Princess phones. They had just come out with Princess phones. In the old days, there were cradles and phones and lights. And one day I asked my mom what the star and the pound sign meant. She goes, "Oh, something in the future we're going to do with computers and the phones." Well, that was in the 60s, and here we are. When the computers came out, they were planning technology. But I got in trouble a lot as a kid. So one time my dad ran out of ideas how to ground me for the weekend or whatever. So he pulled my phone out of the wall. Okay. And
Oh,
back then, phones were attached with 5 different length wires in different colors: purple, yellow, green, red, whatever. So I had to be without my phone. That was the big thing. As a teenager in the 60s, you had your own number away from your parents.
really?
Yes, the spoiled ones would get your own phone. Okay. Now, in
Whoa! Oh,
those
wow.
days, if you had a busy signal, say you were calling a friend of yours named Bob. Well, the line was busy because his mom or dad was probably on the phone. Well, you didn't like that, so we would call the operator. Hi, I'd like to make an emergency breakthrough. This is Linda. So the operator would get onto Bob's line. Hi, it's the operator from whatever phone company. We have an emergency breakthrough from Linda, meaning I wanted to talk to Debbie or whoever, or you want to talk to Bob. So they released the line. That's what we did. But back then, after my quote, being grounded level was over, my dad tried to put the phone back into the wall. He couldn't do it because he didn't know which wires went where and it didn't connect. So I knew he hid it in his closet. So one day he was at work and I got the phone and I sat there and I figured out I got a dial tone.
Really?
I got a dial tone. So I told my mom I fixed the phone and she started laughing. Don't tell your father. I'm not going to tell your father. So I closed my door and one night he hears me whispering and he knocks on the door to hang up the phone. And I said, yeah. He goes, I got a job for you for the summer. Oh, what's that? He goes, you're going to work for the phone company. I hear you put your phone back. I got my phone back.
Nah, I'm not.
You're a good talker. You're a good talker because you're intelligent. And a lot of people don't think they know you're intelligent. Oh, yes, because you're also educated. But
oh, don't tell them that. They're
that's
so mad
another
about
thing
that.
they love to pick on you. I mean, I don't know why.
They said, okay, so the word got back to me, people who I thought were my friends that I now know clearly were never my friends. They said Storm
You're breaking up.
education.
There you
Wait,
are.
can you hear me now? They said Storm throws his education in our face. He's always bragging about it. And I'm like, I literally never talk about it. He thinks he's better than us. I've never said that.
No, I've read that. And I'm like, I don't hear it in the show. But these are the people, let's go back to bullying, who are insecure, have no life, fall in love with the image, and then have to type in the chat some bizarre comment to make themselves feel more powerful or to berate you or insult you to bring them down to their level because they may feel inept, or it's like, oh, I wish I was on that rock and roll movie, or I wish I'd been on the road with musicians when I was a kid. What would it have been like? What's it like to be Elvis Presley's granddaughter? I mean, all my brain was going from a movie, but it's not the reality. They were actors. Okay. The music was great. The same with you. Those people have earned movie roles because they worked their butt off to audition through their life to get to where they are. You have worked your butt off. You've gone to school. You've figured out something that you had a passion for. You've made this work. And people are jealous. It's just like the people that call you, oh, I want to do that. Okay, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I don't know, but I want a YouTube show. Well, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. Fashion. What part of fashion? Shoes, clothing, designers? Oh, no. Do you have an LLC? What's that? Do you have any money? Well, do you need money? Well, yeah, you buy headsets and a chair and a computer and a microphone and camera. I mean,
It always, and they don't. I mean, I was actually just doing like a little over virtual speaking event, right? And I was talking about YouTube and just talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, I want to do such and such," and I'm like, "Okay, well, you're gonna need to upload X amount of videos, or you're gonna need to do it." And by the time I'm done telling them what they have to do,
they're like, what?
what? It's a lot of work.
What?
It looks fun.
I know we talked about that. I don't understand the work part at all.
I know. It gets them confused, and I even have to tell people I was trained in radio as well when I went to college in Missouri. Right. Out to Dr. Mark Smith. He felt like an asshole at the time, but now I understand that it's a lot of work, right?
A lot of work.
And sometimes I would be left at the radio station by myself overnight, so it was like he didn't play. Anyway, long story short, I had a lot of respect for the profession because I saw just how much work
It's work.
goes into it. And so sometimes I almost feel maybe I should talk about the behind the scenes so people understand.
You try, but it loses them because they can't
Yeah.
understand that there's something behind the scenes. They just think you get like a celebrity has their makeup artist and their hairdresser and their stylist, and they've got their clothes picked out, and they just show up and smile. No, you don't. Like the girl Riley was saying, it took a year and a half just to rehearse the music because the lead who played her, the lead singer, didn't sing, but you would never know it from the acting that they
Yes.
rehearsed for a year and a half just to learn. Okay. YouTube, yeah, it can be simple, but I'm not a big YouTuber, obviously. My channel, Dr. Linda Salvin, I'm plugging it, needs your support and the subscription. But the people who have thousands and thousands of viewers, whether it's music or big people like you who have been around for a long time, and then the people who are bashing you, the competition of the other show hosts that have nothing better to do but make their show about Storm Monroe. Right? I know that. I've watched some of them, which is ridiculous. I want to punch them. And there's been a few I've actually gone under a different name and I've left some cruel comments. It's like, who the hell are you? And what are you trying to do? But it's become a job, a career, a passion for some people that I think they get up every day. Well, who am I going to insult today? Who am I going to mess up today? What if it happened to them? They wouldn't like it. They wouldn't know how it feels to be slashed all the time. They don't understand it. And then those that do get knocked off their pedestal after a while get what's called humble.
Yeah. And I've had my moments too. I'm not going to lie. Like being in this position now versus when I first started, I'm like, oh, this is what celebrities go through. I mean, but times 100. But times 100.
Changes. Yeah, because we're egotistical and it's exciting and the adrenaline. But then you got to balance. It's like you come in with all this greatness, but then all of a sudden you got to tone it down. You're still human and you still have blood pressure, or you still have to eat dinner, or you still have to.
And I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to be.
No, you're in a box.
And I want to be able to go to parties and go out without worrying about, damn,
you're out again. It's your mic. There you go. Oh, I
see. I careful not to touch it, but it's just like when I lied and got into the Usher and Jimmy Iovine and I got in. What I loved about it was I was able to be around these celebs who look dead in the face. But anyway.
Stop there. Yes, you can see it in their eyes.
Oh,
you can see people, either they're loaded on cocaine or they're loaded on booze or uppers and downers or pot or whatever. And they may have millions and dripping in gold and driving a Mercedes or a Bentley or whatever. But there's no light on. And you can see it in someone's eyes.
Yes. And now they all look like this.
Well, it's also they've had either teeth removed or they had their face done. Yeah, they all look like monsters.
Yeah.
They all look the same. Yeah.
They were all tiny. I was like, I don't want to drink. I don't want to eat. I felt like a fat slob. I was just like, I got to get my life together. Because it was just, everyone was like thin. It was just
a different world story.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to be that skinny little thing that I was when I was younger, taking pills and smoking dope and cigarettes and drinking wine and Kahlua.
I could do crack and get that small.
Yeah, that's true too. And you stay skinny because you're never hungry, but you'll sleep a lot.
I felt out of place, but then on another hand, I was like, no, I fucking belong here. So I don't know. It's a back.
It's all of it, because you realize they're just in these little tiny bodies, and I've always envied the smaller body. There's been people coming to me saying, God, I wish I was as tall as you, or I wish I was as large as you. You've got so much presence. I'm like, what? And everybody sees us differently, ourselves versus them. And where I think, oh my God, she's got the body to die for. And they may hate it because they're too skinny. My aunt was always skinny. She hated it. I go, why? You're so beautiful. But you don't know the psyche. You don't know the conditioning. None of us know the abuse, the abandonment, the loss. I dealt with a 22-year-old yesterday that's totally lost. Found me from your show and did a healing on her. Her mom died in January, and I got into all her. I said, you're so depressed. I don't even know if I want to do the healing. I need some space because it's so heavy. I was going to push it over a week, but I knew she couldn't go another week. But what I felt, I needed to work on her immediately to help her release it. So you never know another person's real experience. You don't know if the dog died, the bird died, if they had a flat tire, if the manager didn't show up. I read somebody on Facebook the other day, a friend died, then his manager died, and now his dad just died. So it's like all three in a couple of days. It's a lot.
Ooh, it's a lot of death. Ooh.
Yeah, and then the grief and the guilt and the shame and that ozone that he'll go through for months until the reality settles. Nobody ever knows what the other person's going through. Somebody could have argued with their spouse just before they get out of the car in front of the paparazzi. Hi.
Yep. Hi.
But you don't know what the argument was 20 minutes ago. Oh, why'd you have to wear that shirt? Or you didn't feed the dog? Or I don't care if you don't like this perfume. You don't know what they're talking about.
It is so true. They get in front of the camera, they pose,
Yeah, and it's fun like that. And I've done red carpets, but for B shows, not big shows. And even though I've walked it and I thought, well, this is fun. Nobody knows who I am. Those pictures aren't going viral. Nobody cares. But maybe if I were a TV celebrity or a huge, huge radio show host like I was in the 90s, PR would be different. But
or if you had banged the right person.
Or if I banged the right person, I might be a little further. But the thing is, even when I'm around those people, I've learned to bring it down a notch. There's still people doing a job. One of the things I've learned through my time is I don't put people on the pedestal like I used to. When you're younger, it looks big and unreachable, and I understand that. To the audience, you're unreachable, untouchable, so you're huge compared to them. So that perception, like me, like, oh, I'll never get there. And then one day I was there, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go home. I'm tired, It's still part of it. I can't live at 90 miles an hour every day anymore. I can't. Don't want to.
I get it.
It's fun for a night or two. And then after a while, it's like, okay, go buy new clothes, buy a new purse, go back to bed. Do another show or help somebody else. Yeah. You said something about people bashing you for being spiritual.
Yes.
I wasn't spiritual until I was in a plane crash in 1981. I told you I was in New York in February, and I met a man who I may be doing business with, whose cousin was on that same flight as me. He was Mr. America, Mr. Universe, Dennis Torino, who after was in Hollywood with Schwarzenegger and all the others. After he was in the plane crash, he opened up more spiritually that he left Hollywood and opened up churches to talk about God. Because in the end, it's always about the spirit. And I believe I told you I watched Tina Turner's documentary on, I don't know, Netflix or Prime. I don't know which one it was. But here she had this amazing singing career, gorgeous legs, voice, but she was beat up to a pulp. But at the end, where she's sick now, she lives in, I think, Switzerland with her husband or her friend. Somebody, the interviewer, the journalist asked if she could do it again or have a message, what would she be doing? She said it would be something spiritual because that's all there is at the end. So here's the rock and roll queen for decades with some of the best songs. What does love have to do with it? And at the end of her life, she knows it's all spirit. Yeah. So no matter how you get there and you want to bash it, in 81, I was in a plane crash, and that was February, but in that fall, I was at my 10-year high school reunion. I was creamed, bashed, insulted, bullied. Psychic? What do you think you are? A psychic? Ew. Some people wouldn't even talk to me. They thought I was like off the planet, and they thought, yeah, but you went to college, you did this, and you did that. And I mean, I lost a lot of friends. But then as I grew on TV and radio, all of a sudden they looked at me differently, like, hey, maybe there's something there. Well, I've never stopped because there's a drive in me to get this message out. Just like in that man, Dennis's world, he had to open up churches. When you catch the light of God, and I'm not preaching Christ any more than I am Moses and the everlasting light in the temple, it has nothing to do with religion. There's something within. That's why I use butterflies as the totem or a wink from God. And people who bash and criticize and rip people like you up, even though the humor's there, but when they cross that line and they get a little too ugly or a little too invasive, that's hurting somebody. It's really hurting intentionally, it's going to go back on them somehow later. Just like that girl I yelled at her, told the truth at the 50th reunion. Oh, you're going. It's like I could see it walking home all those years, but people don't know that they're hurting another person. But online, we can read it. We
Yes.
see it. It's different. We're not just hearing it on the radio, but now we get to read it in the chat. So if, like I used to say, peace starts within ourselves, then our family, then the community, then it goes out vibrationally throughout the universe. But the universe is so chaotic right now. We're literally in a civil war amongst ourselves.
We are. I agree.
We may not be the North and South or East and West and guns and uniforms. The guns are there. The violence is there. The insanity is there. The deaths are there. So why do we have to keep insulting one another, even online, when you're just trying to have fun or do something good? Or then there's those that don't really care. They'd rather go sell pizza or whatever they're doing. But then you got the talk show hosts that make a living out of insulting and ripping somebody else apart.
True. It's just sad, but it's a part of life. And I will say, wait, somebody. Oh no, I was hearing things. My bad. But I will say, at the end of the day, this whole experience has taught me that people are fucking nuts.
There they are.
I understand why Mike Tyson says the world was a better place when you could just punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, but look what happened to him. He got so drunk or loaded one time, he fell asleep and they tattooed his face. And he's got to live with it. I mean, it's one thing to have it on your arms or whatever, but I don't think he expected to have half his face tattooed. I mean, everybody...
I never heard about how that actually happened.
Yeah, I think he was either drunk or loaded, fell asleep, and somebody did his face.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Up here, next time you're here, if I can remember how to get there, I don't know whatever happened to his house, but he was supposedly building this huge mansion up in the hills, up in Benedict Canyon, but it never got finished because he ran out of money. Now, I haven't been up there in about 3 years, 4 years, since the pandemic. I haven't driven up to that part of town. But I may go up there. Maybe they sold it. Maybe he did finish it. But the story was he ran out of money and couldn't finish this mansion. Like Tyson. Yeah, there's, you hear little bits and pieces. But these are the people you can still hear a little bit about today, but they are not the focal point of the moment. Everybody gets their moment, or they're trying for the moment.
That's true. That's very true.
The celebs of today aren't necessarily the celebs of tomorrow. Or people peaked in the 90s or the 60s or the 70s, and then they're still around today, or a lot of them are dead, or a lot of them are retiring, or the musicians I grew up with are now late 70s and 80s.
Wow.
My friend was just on a cruise ship with the Beach Boys, the Temptations, and a lot of the older cover bands besides the real bands. And he said to me, there were a lot of people in wheelchairs and on crutches. And I said, these were the teenagers when the Beach Boys came out in the 60s. You have to think about who's listening on this cruise. And again, it goes to the soul. The soul doesn't change. We're still teenagers. We're still little children. We're still ourselves in this body through life. So here, it's the soul connection. So he's complaining about all the old people. I said, but that's us.
Yeah.
You're going to be there in 30 years, Storm, where you'll look back and the ye's of today are going to be old and gray, and if he's even still alive with all his kids, he probably will be. But I'm just saying, we're all going to age. At the age in the 20s and 30s, you never think about it. True. You don't think about it as much till it starts to happen in the 40s, 50s. Then it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? What have I done in my life? Why didn't I do this? When the reflection starts in a different way. So the people who are bashing you today, they may go back and go, I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, that is true. And then to be honest, they do it until they don't, and then it's like, we'll talk about somebody else now. So we all get our turn.
Right, but there's still, I don't care about the bashing so much as it being unfounded. I mean, people leave me 1 star. So I'm like, for what? I don't even know who this person is. I've never read this person. Why am I being bashed? Or why did I get called a spiritual whore? whatever she called me yesterday on the show. I'm like, I don't even know who she is. She doesn't know me, but it's like soliciting spirituality. It's like, yeah, that's what I do. If I
Yeah,
really wanted the money, I'd be an attorney or something. You know?
exactly. Dr. Linda, tell the people where they can find you to follow you.
Anytime, sure. Dr. Linda Salvin on YouTube, and my brand new beautiful website, 15% off, you guys. It's right there. There's a code this time for candles, readings, healings, channeling. lindasalvin.com, LINDASALVIN.com, or just shoot me an email. Let me know you heard about me with Storm.
Perfect. And we will be back next week with the Soul Connection.
Yes, we will. You have a good weekend.
It's Storm Show. Ay, it's Storm Show.